On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, let's take a look at the state of sports in Denver. And let's take some players and if we're high or low on them going on into next season. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We will be doing that. Yeah, throughout the week, we're going to take 2 players a day. If it's a slow news day, maybe 3. And if we're high or low on them going into next season. Not going to do guys like Cale Makar. Not going to do guys like Nathan MacKinnon because we know where we are on them. That's pretty easy. This is like the middle of the road guys. But as you can see, today we're going to be doing Gabe Landeskog and Martin Nečas. So those are higher end guys, but still, I mean, is the jury out on some of these guys, or, these 2 guys specifically for different reasons. So we'll talk about that. And Nazem Kadri's in the news for a tweet that we will definitely be talking about a little bit later. Kyle has a smirk on his face. Kyle is the Kadri man, but I'm really curious to know what he thinks of this tweet that he put out. Don't spill the beans now, because it's about, spill the beans what it is. It's about Mikko Rantanen and the Colorado Avalanche. But it's very interesting.
I'm a mess of emotions. What do you want from me?
And it's Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day. But if you listen to this on Monday, belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Word to your mother.
Yes, exactly. Give her a call. All right. But where we're going to start, we figured why not just take a look at how things are going on in the state of Colorado, specifically the city of Denver, and how the 4 major sports are doing there. Clearly, with the Avalanche, yes, they won the Stanley Cup, albeit 3 years ago. That's still fresh in everybody's mind, so that is good. You had the Nuggets winning one 2 years ago. Denver looks like the Broncos look like they're kind of on the rebound and kind of heading in the right direction. And then you have the Rockies just sucking the lifeblood out of everything. So overall, I think it's a fun time to be a fan of the sports in Denver. But where's your mind go? Obviously to the Avalanche, but as a whole, how much do the Rockies hurt everything going on in Denver?
Well, it's a good thing to take a step back and look at all the teams that are going, like everything going on in Denver right now when it comes to sports. Like you look at not just how things are currently, but where things are going for the future of these organizations and franchises for non-hockey sports. Like you're looking at like the parallel between the Avalanche and the Nuggets. The Nuggets are tied in their series 2-2. Kind of a disappointing. At time of recording, it would be today. Kind of a disappointing game from the Nuggets. You anticipate a little bit more, but you still, and again, they're built like the Avs. Like it's Joker and everyone else, and it's Nathan MacKinnon and basically everybody else. You got Cale Makar, of course, but
sure.
They also have the same championship success, but then since then, it kind of isn't there.
Fire the coach.
Yeah, fired their coach, and Colorado hasn't, but there's a lot of questions around the front office. So you could kind of put them in the same level. Then you have Denver, the Broncos. It's interesting because they have tried and haven't found success, and tried and haven't found success. And now with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you're starting to feel like there is something working. And this kind of feels like that weird electric energy right after the 16-17 year for the Avs. Like you feel like, hey, we're actually building and this might work. Like you're liking what's happening. You're seeing all the pieces fall into place. You're liking where the Broncos are going.
Yeah.
Then you got the Rockies. And everything, like how I always try to keep a level head when it comes to reacting to current things in the Avalanche, just look at what's going on at Coors Field. Like it's embarrassing. And like I've seen the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're a team I cheer for in baseball, and everybody says that is a team that is just a terrible organization. The Rockies are doing it worse. And
Sure they are, definitely.
And it's not just this year, it's been like the last 2 years. And this goes back to management. It could be worse in Colorado. You want to say, wow, this stinks, the window's closing. Well, go look at Coors Field, and it could be a lot worse.
I'm not a big sports gambler guy. But I have friends that are, and I'll go to them every once in a while when there's a team that's like historically bad, that like you're 98% sure like they're gonna lose the game, like just record level bad. Why would you not bet against that team every single day? Every time they're playing, why would you not bet against them? Sure, they're going to win a game here or there, but more or less. And I know there's like spreads that come into play and stuff like that, but like they're that bad. Where as far as betting goes, you never bet on a team like that ever. And I don't know, like there's just so much going on there, but when you have 3 out of your 4 the major sports, when those teams are doing well and enjoyable to watch. And sure, like I know, like it's so difficult to win a championship, but you've had 2 out of those 4 do it in the last 3 years. That's really good. And Denver, I know everything revolves around football in every market, but now that the Broncos, they seem like they're going in the right direction. And that is what you want, especially in football. And when what it, for again, 3 of the 4 teams, you have superstars on those teams, superstars, best in their perspective sport. And for the Broncos, I'm talking about Patrick Surtain, obviously. But what you need in football is you need a quarterback. That is what football revolves around every single year. And the Broncos have not had it for how long? And Nick's, he was a rookie, so we have to see where this goes. But you have to love the rookie season that he had, and now you're getting behind him, and he looks the part. So now you could you could include him on the mix of guys like Joker and Surtain and Cale and Nate. So you're lucky to have some of the best in each sport, save for baseball, going forward. And the thing that it could be, when you had, after like in the 2000 to 2010, Boston just had everything.
Yeah.
You remember, like you had the Patriots, obviously, the Celtics were doing their thing.
The Red Sox.
The Red Sox were winning World Series. The Bruins, I don't know, I can't remember year wise when the Bruins were winning, but the Bruins were always relevant, obviously. Yeah. Like Boston was going through a time of just everything clicking. And if it wasn't for the Rockies, I'm not saying you'd be at that level, but you'd have 4 teams that are just in the mix every day. You can tune in to whatever team is playing and enjoy a game. Can't do that with the Rockies, but for the Broncos, the Nuggets, and the Avs, you can.
Yeah.
And you go into those, especially NBA and NHL, you go into those seasons and say, like, this is going to be a good year. We have a shot. Are we the best of the best? No, like top 10, top 5, that gives you a chance. And I want to see that from the Broncos. They're in a really good division. When you have the Chiefs, that's going to be always a mountain to climb, but anything can happen once you get into the playoffs. So I'm just happy that the Broncos seem to be relevant again and enjoyable to watch. And it's going to be a while before the Rockies get there.
Yeah, you got honestly, you got the Avalanche and the Nuggets with their championship window open, wide open. You have the Broncos, that part of the season where you open up your windows for the first time after it's been closed all winter long, and you're like de-winterizing, you're like moving the seals, you're getting ready to put the air conditioner in. That's where the Broncos are. They're about to open that window. Like they're about to start knocking on the door of the playoffs. Like they could start being like a threat, like a favorite,
Right.
especially when they start putting pieces there. And then you look at the Rockies. That window's closed. They actually cemented the window. That window is no longer there. It's now a wall. The Rockies have a lot of climbing to get back out. And I mean, they've done it before. They've had their chance runs in the playoffs. They've had good teams, have one of the best parks in baseball. So you'd like to see things turn around. Probably a management thing, but it's depressing to see. I kind of like the Rockies. They never really hurt anybody. Like they're just there. But for 3 of your 4 teams to be in their championship window, like Denver could be title town if everybody starts playing their part.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. So we'll see where things go. We're going to get into, like I said, throughout the week, doing high or low on guys. So we're going to start in on that now. And these are, curious to see like your thoughts on some of these guys that we talk about, because this is what dictates what we're talking about. Like excitement going into an upcoming season. If we're high on more of these guys than low, we're feeling like this team is going to have a good year, which we should, because it's a good team. It is a good team. They should be a good team. They know that they have like 2 of the best players in the world, and they need to surround them with other good players so they can continue doing, having people like us enjoy watching them play. So let's start that off now. We're going to be if we're high or low on Gabe Landeskog and Martin Nečas. So let's dive into that right after this. Let's hear from Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? I know where my money goes. I mean, the sport of hockey exists. So that's where my, I just got this one the other day. The Four Nations face-off puck. Did I need it? No. Did I want it? Yeah. So that's I don't wonder where my money goes, but you might. And if it's between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, for Kyle, it's those awesome shirts that he buys all the time.
I have a lot.
Yeah. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com, and you get 50% off of your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code again is LOCKEDONNHL. And your entire first year is half off. Go check them out today. All right, sir. So let's dive into these high or lows that we are going to be doing all throughout the week. And we figured, like, we have a list of, I think, of 10 guys that we're going to get to, which is perfect for the week. We figured, why not start with Gabe? Because we've talked about him a ton since the lead up to coming back, and it's been well documented. I mean, he did a documentary on it, so so the return.
He's very, very thorough with his documentation.
Yeah, the return to the Colorado Eagles. Then he came back in the playoffs and looked good. Looked like really liked his old self. Could argue he was one of their better players in those games that he had returned in. So the question is still out, though. And we talked about it a little bit last week on the grind of an 82-game hockey season. Is he up for that? So with all of that, taking everything into account, where do you stand with Gabe Landeskog? Are you high or low on his season next year?
And another thing you also want to keep in mind going into this next season, there is going to be a vacuum.
And
we'll get
balls.
The literal vacuum. No, there is going to be a vacuum that could be playing a lot to the high and low projections and a lot of the outputs that you will get from these players next season. And we'll talk about this person that used to wear 96, but he's not there. So there might be, you need that next step up. And who is going to do that when it comes to point production? And when it comes to Gabe Landeskog, if he would have missed the entire playoff and you said, yep, without a shadow of a doubt, he is coming back next year, what do you think? I would be very, very low. I would be hesitant. I'd be timid. Going into this year, I feel like he could be close to his normal production. I feel like he honestly, and this was the playoffs. This was not, we seen him in the AHL. We haven't seen him in regular season action, but this was the playoffs against the Dallas Stars, and he did not look like he missed any time. So I'm very curious what regular season hockey, the wear and tear of that, will do to Gabe Landeskog. But I feel honestly pretty high on Gabe Landeskog coming into next year.
I'm with you on that for a couple of reasons. One is like, why are we going to bet against Gabe Landeskog?
Yeah,
I mean, he took 3 years and never once just quit on it. And his mindset was always, I'm gonna at least make a return and see how this goes. And it was, I think, better than really any of us expected. So I wrote about this. I think it's like, it was just unfair that it was so short for him. Yeah, 3 years and then you play 4 games and you're done. So while at one time I'm thinking like, oh man, like what could a full season look like for him? For him, like, even though it's the off season for him, that's 5 months that he continues to work on this and continues to test the knee. And if he has, I'm saying like why would he wouldn't anticipate any more setbacks because he returned, although it could happen. I fully understand that. But it's not like, okay, the season's over. He's just going to go, be on vacation for the next 4 to 5 months. I think he goes back to I don't want to say rehabbing, but you know what I mean? Like he goes back to just working out.
Yeah, the routine.
Yeah. So if everything, if he just gets through the off season like it's a normal off season, like during an off season where he doesn't go into the off season with an injury, and he heads into next year, everything was fine in the off season. I didn't have any problems. I had this was my first regular off season. Why should we then expect that the setback is going to come when the season starts? I don't think that's going to happen. Like as long as we get through this off season and he is fine, I think you're going to see a normal Gabe Landeskog next year. So yeah, I'm with you. Why bet against him? And the fact that, he can continue, like you said, his routine for the off season. And if everything's good, you got your Gabe Landeskog back.
Yeah, the Gabe that showed up in the playoffs looked like he did not miss 3 years. So I'm just going to delete those 3 years from my memory and just say, yeah, Gabe, he looked great in the playoffs. Like, just forget the injury, forget everything. He's back. Yeah. He looked great in the playoffs. You're anticipating going into next year. If you're getting more of that, I'm feeling great. So I can't wait to see what he does.
Absolutely. Martin Nečas is the other one we're going to do today. It was great when when the trade went down. He came over. He just hit the ice running and looked great. And the question for him was always the playoffs. And as often as Carolina made the playoffs, he's good in the playoffs. You need him to be great because he's your top line guy. And he just has never been that just elite guy in the postseason. Those guys that turn it up another level hasn't been that. And he wasn't, he was his normal self in the playoffs this year. So where do you stand with Necas going into next year? His first full year with the team. It's a contract year for him. Where are you with him?
You just hit 2 of my points right out the window. That's exactly why I feel like this might be, again, we're going to be talking about Nas in a bit. This could be a Nas year for Necas. Contract year. Full off season, understanding what his role and where he belongs on this team will be. He's not surviving. Like, as soon as that trade happened, he came on to the Avalanche and just was kind of like in survival, just playing with his skills at 100 miles an hour, just trying to keep up. And he did great. He was incredible in the regular season. When he was leaned on in the playoffs, it was a different story, but that's okay. I mean, he's never been a playoff phenom,
Elite, right?
but with this whole offseason, really working with his squad, understanding the days in, day out, like this is my team, this is what they want, this is what they need, this is what I did last year. I can build on it this year. I'm not going to waste my time with this because that wasn't working. I feel like I'm very high on what Necas will bring next year. And I feel like we're going to have a very interesting conversation at the end of next year on what we do with that contract.
If you ask me, I feel like they are going to try to get an extension done. I don't even think it's going to last the whole season. And
go Mackenzie Blackwood on him. Just real early, get it low before he outplays his contract.
Well, because when you do that and a guy just starts he goes off, the number goes up. And this was the guy they traded for Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
So they don't want this to be him finishing out his contract and then he leaves. Because now what you've got
you got nothing.
Your return for Mikko Rantanen lasted 2 years, save for what Jack Drury does. You know what I mean? So that's just a bad look all around. And mentioning Mikko Rantanen, I think that could be a motivating factor for Necas next year with how well Mikko is doing in the playoffs right now. And you got to sit home and watch that and know that, hey, that's the guy that they got rid of to bring me in. I need to step up my game too. So you couple all of that, you bring all of that together, and the contract year is the big one. I think for next year, I think you're going to see a pretty monster year from Martin Nečas. But I think the question is going to be there once the playoffs roll around. If the Avs are in a playoff spot, those questions are going to be there. But I think having a full year with the Avalanche in that system, and if he just goes off for career highs, you'd have to believe that he can continue that in the playoffs. And if he doesn't, we're asking Jonathan Drouin questions here of like, what is it about the playoffs that some guys just cannot flip the switch?
I think the big game changer for Necas is he's going into this year with this being his job instead of filling in for Mikko. I feel like that's the big difference. Last year, he was trying to keep up and put up and be Mikko last year because he was traded for him.
Yep.
This year, this is Marty's position, and he could settle into that. And I think that might be a big difference.
And, you're getting a new special teams coach.
Yeah, true.
Who is going in knowing that, okay, I have Martin Nečas and Nathan McKinnon running this power play. Let me utilize them. So he could really benefit from if they hit it right on a special teams coach.
Yeah, let's not park. Let's not park. Yeah. 5 players parked.
Yeah. So all right, let's we'll get one more break in here. We got a couple of people from Subtext who chimed in on this stuff. And then Nazem Kadri speaks on social media anyway. So we'll do all that next. All right. Over on Subtext, we had Vargar chime in on this for Landeskog. I don't know anyone who's more of a Landeskog fan than Vargar. So he says, can't wait to see him. He can't wait to see him live again. So he's going to be going to, I'm sure, many Avalanche games to watch his boy. And then he said on Necas, he said, was as expected, a regular season dynamic point producer and disappeared when you need him most in the playoffs. All those Avs fans who thought Necas would be so different on the Avs with Nate in the postseason were wrong. He had one decent game and 1 goal in 7 games, and it doesn't get it done. I can't deny. I can't say you're wrong. But the only thing I can say to try to put a positive spin on it is let him get a full year with this team.
Yeah.
Let him get a full year and an off season and see where it goes. If you get a repeat, I'm with you. There's a lot of questions on why it can't get dialed up.
Well, I get what Vargar's saying. I love you, Vargar, more than anything. But he did exactly what Mikko did the year before in the playoffs. So he filled in Mikko's spot. When it comes to production, like there wasn't a lot of like anger around Mikko last year after his. Why does everybody keep forgetting about his performance in the playoffs last year for the Avalanche? Why did everybody delete that from their mind? Like he was a ghost. The question was, is Mikko hurt? Why is he playing like that? What is going on? But everybody excused that. Nature's plays the same way, and it's he's a bust. I can't believe. Nope. Calm down. Give him another year.
Lisa said, hi on Landy. How can anyone not be? I'm still feeling good about Necas, although I'd like to see more in the playoffs, which I know has been a thing for him. But I could have asked a lot from a lot of players against Dallas.
Very valid point, Lisa.
Very good point. Very, very good point. Let's see if anybody's got anything. This is Landon says, Necas, I'm on the low end of high.
Yeah.
So he's high. Okay. I like that. And for Landeskog, he's at very high in Landeskog. I think you're hard pressed to find anybody would be low on Landeskog. Maybe if they're low on him, maybe it's just out of concern. But I think overall, most people are very high on Landeskog. So,
I could get with Landon. Like it's almost a push. Like if you had to go, you would say high, but you're cautious. You're cautious.
Yeah. So,
but the ingredients are there to be positive.
Absolutely. All right. So let's finish things up today with a tweet from one of Kyle's favorites, Nazem Kadri. This came after the Stars beat the Jets. I think it was 5-2 was the final in that one. And Mikko Rantanen puts up 3 more points. So he continues to just really dominate since he got going. He just hasn't. Like you said, where was that guy last year?
Yeah.
So Nazem Kadri put up a tweet, and you don't see him tweeting that much. Not really. Yeah. And he said, rule number 1, you always keep the dogs. ... number 96. First, I'll get your thoughts, and then we'll chat.
And I analyzed it. I thought about it. I'm very curious. And he makes a point. You do keep him. But did Nas want to stay in Colorado?
I mean, he could have.
He took a very long time. Remember the
he was one of I thought he was just pricing himself lower because free agent money was running out and Nazem Kadri hadn't signed yet. So, but continue.
I wonder if the same situation was going on where he wasn't getting the deal he wanted, and eventually had to go to Calgary. Same thing with Mikko, and I wonder if they talked about it, and I wonder if it's their little like, hey Nas, I love you to death, but you haven't done anything since you left either. So, I found it very interesting, and I wonder when player polls roll around, if this is something that's also picked up when it comes to confidence in that front office from a player standpoint that is not affiliated with the Colorado Avalanche.
The thing is, like, it's so easy just to say you got to keep fill in the blank. And you don't get rid of your super, which generally you don't. Like, I fully understand that. But the Avalanche are under there is that thing called the salary cap. And how we want to say now how the Avalanche struggle to draft and develop, the reason they're in this problem, the reason they're in this issue is when they were drafting the Nathan McKinnons and Mikko Rantanens and Cale Makars of the world, they were drafting and developing. So they caused this problem on their own because they were drafting exceptionally well. And it's so easy just to say you got to keep these guys when a salary cap is involved. You can't do it. Like I constantly go back to everyone saying like, oh, why are you doing this? The reason why you're doing it is because Cale Makar is due a contract in a couple of years and is going to break the bank. It's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so. End of discussion. Like it just like that is why this happened. They didn't want to do this, but they had to think ahead. And sometimes you have to think 2 and 3 years ahead. And when that guy 2 or 3 years ahead is Cale Makar, who's going to command ungodly money, someone's got to go. And when you're lucky enough to have a Nathan MacKinnon and a Mikko Rantanen and a Cale Makar, we did an episode on it, Kyle, which like a year ago, we did an episode on it of who's got to go. We both said Mikko Rantanen, not because we want to. If you can only keep two of them, one has to go. And it's just so easy for everyone to just sit in their chairs and play, Monday morning quarterback and be like, you shouldn't have done that. Okay, tell me the same thing in 2 years. Tell me that. When Cale Makar is due for a contract and you have the money to sign him, you can look back and say, like, we have the money because we knew it was coming and we had to get rid of Mikko Rantanen. It will always stink that you had to get rid of him. But when you're running the franchise under a salary cap, you just had too many superstars. It's crazy to say that. You had too many. And what other team out there has signed 3 guys to Nathan MacKinnon and above money? Nobody.
Maple Leafs.
You can't do it. Maple Leafs don't. They have one, and he hasn't even started his contract yet. It's next year in Austin Matthews. But look what's happening. Yeah. They haven't signed Marner yet because it's tough to do it.
Yep.
People just want to like come down on the Avalanche and be like, oh, that was stupid. That was stupid. That was stupid. I know it's 2 years from now and we live in a here and now society, but come talk to me in another 2 years when you sign Cale Makar for a max deal or 8-year deal and you're comfortable with that. There's no, that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah. And I bring up the Maple Leafs because they're going to be running into the same issue at the end of the year. And then you get to watch the problems that the Avalanche could have been facing in Toronto in real time. You could be watching that. And guess what? Boston did the same thing with Marchand. They traded him away because they knew they got to start over. What's the point? Like, they unloaded Brad Marchand, and where's Boston and where's Marchand? Like, it didn't benefit them. They had to make a financial, like, they knew this team had to be blown up. They had to restart, and they moved him out. They traded. Nobody questioned the logic behind that move. Why are we questioning the logic behind this move when it comes to what you have to do financially? Like, you can't just, it didn't make sense financially because Mikko's gone and we're still asking, what are we going to do about the cap? What are we going to do about Brock Nelson? What are we going to do about this? Like, what do you expect? What, we keep Mikko and then what?
Well, like, if you did, and this is another thing I wrote about, like, you have $8.7 million in free in salary cap space going into next year. And if you look at the Avs, and we talked about all the players that they have signed, and their high-end guys are signed. So while 8.7 is not a ton, when you look at how many guys that they have signed and what they need to fill those spots, it's not horrible. You'd like to be in a better spot, but it's not the worst. If you signed Mikko to his $12 million contract, now you're in the fives. Now you have $5 million to spend. You don't have enough money to sign, and now you're in the same situation the Avs have been in for years of being top heavy.
Yep.
And everyone loves to say how the Avalanche are a one-line team. Well, what did they do? They went out and addressed trying to not be a one-line team, and everyone hates it because it's Mikko Rantanen. Totally get that. But they had to make a decision, and that was the decision they went with. I understand it. I don't like it because we're all Mikko Rantanen fans. And you just want those guys. We were talking about superstars in the first segment. You want those guys hanging around, and he's gone. But I get it. It stinks. That's the business. And it's just so easy for guys like Kadri to tweet that when you could have stayed.
Yeah.
You could have stayed for you were going to make decent money. You weren't going to make what you made in Calgary, but you would have been in Colorado, who traded for you, who the people here loved you. They still love you. You could have stayed, but he chased the money, and that's fine too. Players do that. But don't go out tweeting this stuff when you know the whole financial part of how sports work. So I thought it was just a bad faith tweet from him, but whatever. It doesn't change the fact on why the Avalanche did what they did.
No, there are so many crazier moves that have been made that people never question the logic. We're not applying logic to this move. We're forgetting the financial part. Right. And we got to stop thinking with the emotion part so heavily. Like, you got to keep a team together. You can't keep a top heavy team and expecting a different result, like you got to pay for Cale Makar. I'd much rather keep Cale Makar than Mikko Rantanen. Cale Makar is generational. Mikko Rantanen, you are having similar production from Necas in the regular season. So,
and I think
real about it.
I think that the biggest factor in all this is because he's on Dallas. If he was doing this on Carolina, we would all be like, good for you, Mikko, clapping, kind of rooting for him. And I don't think you get that tweet from Kadri. But I think because now it's happening in Dallas, and that's the team that eliminated you, that's the team in your division, and he's going to be there for 8 years, you're getting stuff like this.
Join me in
Carolina. I don't think it happened.
Everybody, let's all hate on Carolina together. Jump on my side. This is all their fault.
It really is. And that, I get so many people like, oh, thanks for Nico coming from Dallas fans. We didn't give you Mikko.
No,
we didn't do anything about that. That's from Carolina. So yeah, Carolina deserves all of this blame. So, all right, that will wrap it up for today, everybody. So we'll be back tomorrow with 2 more players for high or low on them. I think we're gonna do Drew Wren and Ross Colton for tomorrow, and then discuss anything else that's going on in Avalanche Nation. If any other former players have any tweets that they want to throw out, we'll talk about them as well. So that will be for tomorrow, but thank you for tuning in today and making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow. You're 24 hours closer of Sidney Crosby being in a Colorado Avalanche uniform, and he would never put out tweets like that.
He's too busy playing hockey.